If you're like me and you hate the way that makeup feels on your skin and you often feel like you look older when you do a full face of makeup, I'm going to share some key tips for a fresh, effortless, no makeup look that'll only take you about 5 minutes to do. This video is sponsored by Earth's Cure, and I was really excited when the brand reached out asking if I wanted to try the only 3 makeup products that they make. I'm a really big fan of streamlined makeup and don't like having a bunch of products in my makeup bag. But what really stood out to me was their approach. Real models, real skin, and no heavy editing. They celebrate natural beauty, and that's something that I'm a big fan of. So because this is a no makeup look, I'm going to do a really lightweight complexion routine. I have my skin prepped with moisturizer and SPF, which is really essential for making sure that makeup looks natural on the skin and that it's not enhancing or emphasizing any texture or dryness. So what I'm going to use is a NARS concealer. They technically market this as an eye brightener, and it only comes in about 4 or 5 shades, but it functions like a concealer, and I really love the consistency and coverage. And the tool that I'm going to be using to apply this is a stippling brush. Stippling brushes aren't as dense at the end of the brush, so they don't tend to be as heavy-handed, and they create this really beautiful diffused airbrushed finish. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of this product and get the excess off on the back of my hand, and I'm going to go in on areas of my face that I know I want color correction. So for me, that tends to be through the center of the face, around the nose. I tend to be a little bit more rosy, and honestly, in my experience, this is true for most people. So I'm just going to go in and slowly build up some coverage, and if I get a lot of product, I will go and put the excess elsewhere on my face and then come back and blend it out. And I go between doing these kind of wiping motions to doing a stippling motion, which is kind of like tapping, and this helps build up coverage and also make sure that there aren't any streaks. And then I can go in and customize how much coverage I want and be very specific with placement so that I can keep my skin looking as natural as possible. Now, when it comes to placing this underneath my eyes, I will use my fingers, and that's because I want more coverage underneath my eyes. And also that brush was just too big. I could have gone in with a smaller brush, but I am a makeup minimalist, and that also includes trying to minimize the amount of tools that I'm using, and think that fingers do a really good job of providing coverage in this area of the face. I'm gonna go right underneath my eyelashes because I tend to get red right here, but I'm avoiding this area because when I smile, I get little fine lines, and makeup loves gathering into little fine lines, and I don't really have much to color correct there. There's no point in using makeup where I don't need color correction, and I don't want to enhance any lines. Then I will use this brush just to go back through and make sure that there aren't any streaks and that everything is blended beautifully. So this is about as much as I would use for complexion for this style of makeup. If you have a blemish, you might go in and color correct that, but the whole point of this makeup look is to have your skin looking like skin and not to feel or look like you're wearing a lot of makeup. So then the next thing that I'm going to do is use a very small amount of a loose powder, and I'm not very particular with brands of powder or types of powder as long as the color matches and as long as I'm being light-handed with it. And I'm just going to go ahead and apply this through the T-zone in areas where I don't want any shine or radiance, and also a tiny bit under the eyes just to set that concealer. I'm not even dipping into the actual powder. I'm just getting residue off of the case. That way I don't have to tap the excess product off and I'm not wasting my money, and I'm not risking going in and applying a really thick layer of powder, which again will just make me look makeup-y, enhance dryness and texture, and won't look natural. This is the Peach Rose Blush, and this is a multi-use product that you can use on your lips, cheeks, or eyes. I'm gonna go in and use another stippling brush. It's a slightly different shape, and honestly I could use the other one if I wanted to, and I can get the excess off on the back of my hand. You can see that this is really pigmented. I could get full coverage, which I think is fantastic. I would rather have a product that has a lot of pigment because it gives me more variety in the final look. There's 2 pretty standard blush placements, and one is higher up on the cheekbone, the other is on the apple of the cheek. And placing your blush up here kind of creates more of a lifted, sculpted effect. And then on this side, if I smile, you can see this kind of fuller part of my cheek, and I'm gonna go about 2 fingers from the edge of my nose because I just got rid of rosiness around my nose and I don't want to add it back. And where you initially lay the brush down is where most of the pigment goes. So this is going to be the brightest part, and then I can diffuse it upwards. I can go back in and use my concealer brush just to make the edges nice and soft and that there's no lines of demarcation. I think that most people can pull off both blush placements, and it's really just a matter of personal preference. But if you find that you're really hollow underneath the cheekbones, then pulling the blush a little bit more forward can kind of fill your face out. And if you feel like your face is just full, you don't have any definition, there's no hollowness underneath your cheekbones, place it up higher on your cheekbones and you might like the effect of that. So now I'm going to even this out so I have a symmetrical makeup application. This, I suppose, would be a third blush placement, which is wrapping it all the way around the temple to the apple of the cheek. And this is the concealer brush. I'm not adding any concealer to it. I'm just using the remnants of what is on there to go around the edges. I have a little bit of like a red rash right here. So I'm using a little bit of this concealer and I'm going to see if I can color correct that, because again, I want the blush to be the focal point, not any natural rosiness in my face. So this is the blush from Earth's Cure. It's really versatile. The color would work on any skin tone. I could put this on the fairest client or the darkest complexion, and it's going to look stunning. It's also a really creamy, blendable formula, so it's easy to work with. So now I'm going to go in with the bronzer, and it comes in the same packaging. And I think that this color is pretty versatile because you can sheer it out. I'm going to do the same application method where I take a stippling brush and just grab this product, or I can go directly in here. Bronzers are supposed to mimic a suntan, so you apply them where the sun would naturally hit your face, which the sun comes from up above and it naturally hits your forehead, so this is going to be the first place that you hit with a bronzer. You do have to be careful, however, because if you have a really short forehead, putting something darker up here like a bronzer or a contour product can shorten the forehead and make it look smaller. So when you're using products that can have a contouring effect, you have to customize it for your face shape. The sun probably would not be hitting here, but I am kind of using this as a contour product. Honestly, I tend to be minimalistic and I don't like using a separate product for contouring. It's a little too tedious for me and I don't do really heavy contouring, so I don't feel like I need something that has a significantly cooler tone to kind of give me more definition. You do want to make sure that you get your bronzer into your hairline, because if you have a vibrant white scalp contrasting against a warmer tone on your forehead, it's going to be blatantly obvious. And then I will take the residue and take it through the center of my face and do a little bit on the chin just for continuity. Just for demonstration purposes, I will add a little bit more of this underneath my cheekbone and let it kind of act as a contour so that you can see how you can use a really small amount of a bronzer and still get a little bit more of a sculpted effect. Using really small amounts of product, swiping to lay it down, then going in and stippling to blend it out. If you accidentally take your bronzer or contour product too low, just take a little bit of that concealer and go right underneath it, and it kind of acts like a magic eraser. I'm going to take a little bit on a fluffy eyeshadow brush, kind of like the one I told you I would use for powder, and I'm going to pull it through the crease of my eyes just to get a little bit of definition here. So last up is their highlighter, and this is called Glow Glaze. It's a really, really creamy formula, and it has a clear base. I'm gonna just grab some of this straight from the product and lay this down and put a little bit underneath. And I'm gonna move my head around and hopefully that catches the light for you. And I'm also going to take a little bit above the top lip. So when you're highlighting, you're trying to attract the light to key points on the face. And usually they are the tops of the cheekbones, tops of the lip, inner corners of the eyes, maybe underneath the eyebrow. And I just got this under my fingernail. Don't do that. I'm also going to layer that on my lips. I'm going to use a little bit of the cheek color, this color right here. I'm going to use that as a lipstick and then go in and apply this as a gloss. And I'm probably going to do a liner because it's a little too light for me and I feel like I need a little more definition on my lips, especially with such a neutral makeup look. That's really pretty. This actually works really well as a gloss. I don't have the lip liner that I wanted in here, so I'm actually going to try using Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk 2 around the edges. I feel like I just need a little more color. This is really pretty. It's not going to be long wearing, but it's really pretty. See how I have that nice highlight on the center of the lip? Take whatever's left over on my powder brush. And I am going to use a clear brow gel and comb my brows up. I always set my brows with a clear brow gel because it's kind of like hairspray for the eyebrows. It adds shine, makes the hair look a little bit more defined, and it keeps my eyebrows in place if my actual hair like swipes across them. Also, by spiking them, it makes them look a little bit fuller than having them just lay flat. So this is the no makeup look featuring Earth's Cure's Glow Trio. Again, you can use these products individually or you can use them together. Individually, these retail for $38 and you can get the trio for $119, although I believe it's on sale right now for $89. These are really versatile products in the sense that you can build up the opacity, so you do get some color variety with these 3 products, and they would work on a wide variety of skin tones. The only product that wouldn't work on every skin tone, in my opinion, is the bronzer. It's not going to act as a bronzer on a really dark complexion, although it might be able to be used as a non-shimmery highlighter. And just to recap on blush placement, the higher up on your cheek, the more sculpted the effect. The lower on the cheek, you're gonna get a fuller, more youthful, kind of runner's flush effect. Both are really beautiful, and I hope you have fun experimenting with the different placements to see which one you like and works for you. If you've tried these products or other cream multi-use products and you want to share your feedback or you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.